That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection.
Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Rita. I hope you are all doing well. So the idea of multiculturalism, in theory, sounds amazing, right? I think many of us, when you think of, or many people, when they think of multiculturalism, they first think of all the wonderful variations of food they're going to be able to try. They think of, all the different types of clothes, and, they think of how they're going to be immersed into this wonderful, colorful, cultural extravaganza, right? You think of like a Benetton ad. Remember Benetton from back in the day? This kind of United Nations sort of idea. But the reality is all cultures are not the same. And no, this is not about race. This is about culture. In some cultures, they might believe that, wearing a dress is preferable for women over wearing pants, as in the Amish culture, right? The Amish has their own set of beliefs. This turns into an issue is when you are a culture that believes that your cat, your dog, your domesticated animals are your pets. In this country, we treat our pets, many of us, like our children. We dress them up. We do all sorts of things, with our pets. We feed them great food. But all cultures are not that way. So it turns out there are some cultures that see all animals as fair game for a delicacy. 20,000 Haitian illegal aliens were dropped off in a small town in Springfield, Ohio, population of 60,000. I will repeat that. A town of 60,000 individuals, American citizens, received 20,000 illegal aliens from Haiti. And people are now reporting, and when I say people, I mean the residents are reporting that their newcomers are feasting on their pets. This is not just a rumor. I know it sounds crazy to us because, again, different culture. We live in America. We don't do that here. But in other countries, they do things like that. It's just what it is. So here is a report that talks about all of what is going on in this small Ohio town. A shocking Facebook post from a local Springfield community group has sparked alarm after a resident shared a disturbing exchange with her neighbor regarding the safety of pets and local wildlife. The post shared by a concerned resident began with a stark warning to all about our beloved pets and those around us. The resident recounted a disturbing exchange with her neighbor who revealed that her daughter's friend had tragically lost her pet cat. The concerned pet owner had searched tirelessly, checking online lost pet pages, local animal shelters, and asking neighbors if they had seen her missing feline. However, the search ended in horror. According to the neighbor, one day after returning home from work, she spotted her lost cat in a neighboring yard. Okay, brace yourself. I should have told you in the beginning. Sort of graphic. Brace yourself. The disturbing detail, the cat was reportedly hanging from a tree branch, allegedly being carved for consumption. The residents of the home in question were identified as a Haitian family. The original poster further claimed that similar incidents had been happening with other animals in the community, including dogs. The post also alleged that authorities such as park rangers and local police had reported similar acts involving ducks and geese in Snyder Park. Again, when you live in a neighborhood and you have ponds, especially small towns, lots of rivers, little waterways, creeks, and you have all this wildlife, and no one thinks twice about eating them. But again, when you place people inorganically from a completely different country with completely different values and cultures into another one, you are going to have this sort of chaos. This is what you are going to see. So for the people who talk about, oh, you're just xenophobic, you don't like immigrants. No, it's not about that. For most of us understand understand the ramifications of, again, inorganically placing people in communities with cultures that are starkly different. This is what you get.
The people that's bringing them down here, because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, I need to do something, bro. Y'all really got to stand on business. Y'all getting paid all this money just to wear a suit and sit in a chair. I think it's crazy, bro. We got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like,
I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to.
A few years ago, I wrote about an incident that happened, I think it was Sweden or Germany. Newcomers are completely unfamiliar with the culture, have not been assimilated into the new culture. Because why? Because they have come in by illegal means. So they're just been dropped off, not assimilated. So it's very common in a lot of these European countries to, sunbathe, topless, things like that. And what was happening was men who newcomer men were just walking up and grabbing some of the women, because I guess maybe in their culture, if you look like this, then you're right for the taking or the touching. So they had to post these brochures to let people know that, we know that they're half dressed, but you cannot just walk up and start fondling and assaulting women on the street. Now, again, not about race, not about what the people look like, but about the values that people uphold and the values they adhere to, things that we live by. Well, there are a lot of things that, yes, in our culture, people are attempting to subvert as it pertains to things that are good, that we know are good, right? That we all adhere to. This is why this is such a shock. If you are American, we don't eat cats and dogs here. We don't do that here. And the people who are all kumbaya and thinks the world operates in some John Lennon utopia, they don't look past that. So they always look at things from a macro perspective, and they never actually look at things objectively and logistically and realistically, right? These are ideologues who think that, different cultures are great. Like I said from the beginning, they only think about, maybe I'll learn to speak French today or whatever the language is. But they never think about the fact that the people you're moving in don't think that cats and dogs should be domesticated. They don't believe that. They see all animals as local fare to roast, right? And so this is the problem that we're going to continue to have as long as we try to turn a blind eye to the fact that cultures are different, and you cannot just inorganically drop people off into random communities without considering the fact that cultures are different. This is the problem with people saying, diversity. We just need diversity. We're just gonna foist diversity onto this area, in this state, in this community. But you can't do that, because it's not just about color. See, diversity is not just about color. It's about stuff like this. When you place people in cultures where they are starkly different, you're going to have chaos at best. At worst, I think we can all imagine how bad this could get. Multiculturalism is not a good thing all the time, most times, because you end up with situations where the culture that you've now integrated forcibly into an area or a neighborhood is often different. People often do not assimilate. And why should they? Why should they assimilate? Why should they change their culture? Now, some people organically search out locations to move to. They research the people who live there, the type of area it is, and they decide, yes, I want to live there because this is the kind of life I would like to live. I would like to blend in and be a part of this culture. But when you just pick up a bunch of people and say, hey, we have free housing, or this is the only place that we can put you. Sorry, this is all we have for you. And you drop them off there. It's terrible. You're not taking into consideration. You're not considering the people who already live there. Instead of looking at these people like they just don't want change and they just don't want different people in here. No, people are concerned about assimilation. They're concerned that people will come into their community, like often happens, even domestically, even in this country, which often happens, where people will just be dropped off in the community. They won't want to assimilate. They're still going to carry with them all of the old, some terrible, terrible ways of their culture. And they're going to live right next door to you. And if you correct them, they're going to be like, what? Who are you to correct me? Because they didn't seek out your neighborhood to live in because they liked what was there. They came there because somebody offered them a free ride or whatever it may be. They came there by coercion or bribery or whatever. So they didn't come there organically because they like your community. So no, they're probably not going to assimilate. And this is the big problem with one of the huge problems with this whole thing. Now these people in Springfield, Ohio, and in other places are reeling from this illegal migrant crisis for this reason and more reasons. And this is just going to continue to happen if we continue to allow it to happen. There was a headline that I saw from the Daily Mail. Dying Ohio City boosts its economy after decades of shrinking population, but not everyone's happy about it. So catch that about a dying Ohio City. So to an onlooker, a city of 1,000 or 2,000 that has been that way for a decade looks like a dying city to an outsider. So, hey, we're just going to drop these people off in your area. And then it says not everyone's happy about it. No, you know why? Because inevitably it's going to change the culture of the place that you have grown up in, the place you know and love. These people probably are like family if you're in a small enough town. But to the outside, it just looks to them like it's a dying town. But do you see the disregard and the disrespect of the local culture and the people who already live there?
Fuck suburbs.
This is the problem. It's not that not everybody's happy. If you're thinking critically about these things, then you understand that people don't just come with their color or their whatever, or their yummy food. They come with a whole host of ideas. Some may be compatible with the culture of your town. Some may be completely incompatible. Unfortunately, the people in Ohio are feeling this. We are all going to start feeling this. Here's what I will say. This sentiment that from the Daily Mail, this is a sentiment across this country and across the West. Okay. People who they're down their noses at everyday working people, or especially small towns in middle America, probably towns like mine as well. There are these people who they look at smaller populations and say, why should they have all this space in here? We should just be able to drop people off. They don't deserve all this. We need to spice things up, diversify or add some diversity in here. So we're going to just drop off all these people here. This is what happens. And they're doing this all over. They're doing this in every small town. The argument is our town is dying. This is the new talking point for politicians to try to do stuff like this. But it's going to boost our economy. Our town is so small. Don't we want our town to grow? Beware of this. Like I always say, attend your local city council. Beware. This is a thing. It's happening all across the country in small towns. They're hoping you don't notice. Make sure that your mayor, your city council in your small town is not trying to drop off a bunch of illegals in your town under the cloak of night. In conclusion, this is all a big cluster. It's not good. It's not good. And if this is your area, or if you live in an area where you're starting to see a huge influx of people who clearly don't know the culture, like slaughtering animals in broad daylight with their bare hands and biting into them, you might want to get a group of people and say, hey, get a list going of what is acceptable in the United States and what is not. Bug your city council. Make them either send them out, send them back home, which we know most of them won't, or create some kind of a class, list something to assimilate these people so the citizens won't have to live in terror for themselves, their families, and their pets. Let me know what you guys think, as always, and until next time, ciao. God bless.